It's 76 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it. You know what I haven't done in a little while? I'm sorry. I need to swap these out because otherwise my vision's out of focus and that throws me off. Now the hat looks weird without. Fuck it. The fact that I just said that and made more work for myself by having to believe it should clue you in that this is a drunk review, which is something I have not done in a while. But I got commissioned to do it, and this is a drunk review of Blues Brothers. Just in case you didn't get the reference of that, I didn't put my pin on, my pronoun pin. It's all the way over there. I'm not gonna get it. She, they. Should say right there. Anyways, Blues Brothers. It's a movie I like, but it's also a movie I have not seen for a long time. I honestly don't think I've seen it all the way through, start to finish, since middle school. So we're talking in the neighborhood of 25, 26 years since I've watched this thing. Because I'm old. I don't actually think I'm that old, but by internet standards, I'm damn old. So, God, how do I even talk about this thing? Okay, so The Blues Brothers is a musical comedy based around a fake but also real band fronted by Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, portraying Elwood and Jake Blues, respectively. And it was something they used to do when they were both on Saturday Night Live. And this is a movie of that. And it is a mess of a movie, but I mean that as the highest compliment. This is one of those movies that it is the best kind of mess. I feel like if they'd been in more control of what this thing is, it wouldn't be nearly as much fun as it is. It has this murderer's row of amazing R&B and blues performers in it. That's in addition to Jake and Elwood and the band itself, who are also very good. But you've got James Brown, Cab Calloway, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, holy crap, Johnny Lee Hooker. Ha! Man. It's okay, like can I just bumped the microphone. I might not edit that. Correct it. It's on brand. I'm not sober. It. So like let's start. Let's just start with the music, with the soundtrack. It's called The Blues Brothers. There's going to be blues and R&B music throughout. And you know what? I had the thought, and like I don't think in these terms. It's like a trendy meme. Okay, does that work as a word? Meme-ish, meme-esque kind of phrase to say that it slaps. But you know what? The soundtrack doesn't slap. This soundtrack f***s hard. It's so goddamn good. Holy crap. Holy crap, the music is so good. The performances are so good of the music. I do have to kind of clarify of the music because some of the acting is not great. But it's not an across the board thing where like the singers can't act. Some of them can, some of them can't. Like I feel like this is best epitomized by the guitar play, or one of the guitar players. They've got a big band. One of the guitar players for the Blues Brothers, Matt Murphy, who is a guitar player. So like that's the thing. Other than John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, the guys in the band are just the guys in the band. They're not actors. And in some cases, you can tell. So, like Matt Murphy, he's not a good actor. And you can tell that especially because he's opposite Aretha Franklin, who is a surprisingly solid actress. Like, she really conveys the part really well. And she's blowing him out of the water. He's got this very wooden reed. But you know what? It's kind of adorable in a way. I can kind of let it go. Should I say what the plot of this is? I don't know. Has the Blues Brothers persevered? Ha! That's a hell of a word for me to be able to pull when I'm drunk. Have the Blues Brothers persevered in pop culture? I don't know if they have. I actually kind of wonder if my generation was like the last generation to appreciate them, because I feel like my generation got in on them because we either had older siblings or possibly even parents who dug them, and we kind of got filtered down to us. In my case, I got into it because I had friends in middle school who really liked it. And I don't know if that persisted much past my generation. So maybe I should describe the plot. So it opens with Jake in prison, actually getting let out of prison. And like, here's the thing. I did not remember how long this movie is. This movie's almost 2.5 hours long. And like, it's much slower paced than my memory of it was. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because in some cases, what makes the scene funny is that they are allowed to play out. But I'll get to the comedy in a little bit. So it starts with Jake getting let out of prison. And like, here's what I mean by slow pacing. We don't honestly get the first joke of this comedy for 5 minutes. It's delivered by Frank Oz while he's giving Jake his personal possessions back as he's getting let out of prison. But it's 5 minutes into the movie. I checked the time code. So it is way slower paced than I thought it was. But anyways, so Jake gets out of jail. He gets picked up by his brother Elwood. Hold on, I got to adjust this. My tits are bumping into part of the microphone. So I should cut that, and I bet you I won't. So Jake gets picked up out of jail by his brother Elwood and realizes that the world outside is not in the condition he thought it was. Not that the world has gone to hell, but the band that they used to front broke up. The orphanage that they were raised in is about to be sold and go under because an assessor levied a tax that they can't afford. So what he and Jake do is following Jake having a holy vision. They set out to get the band back together and raise the money to save the orphanage. That's your basic plot. And they go through this whole thing going, or it's usually Elwood who says it. We're on a mission from God. God, I love it. Part of what's great about that, like that base level plot does not convey the madness that this thing is, because it spends a good chunk of the runtime, I'd say about half the runtime, just getting the band back together. You need to realize that this is not a musical in any kind of like theatrical sense. This is not a musical where the songs progress the story. The songs are all standards of blues and R&B. So they're just injected where the film could get away with putting them, and for the most part, they play out in their complete state, which again I think sort of lends to the slightly more leisurely pace than my memory. I tapped my head hard to do that. Slightly more leisurely pace than my memory of it was, but we get. These songs as the thing goes along. And like I said, about half the movie to get the band pulled back together. And then after that, it's them trying to land gigs and basically playing 2 gigs. And then outrunning the cops, because early on, it starts small. It starts because Elwood runs a red light. And then by the end, like the entire police force of Chicago is out to nail them. It just escalates into absurdity. And not just them. There is a country band that is out to get them, and there are Illinois Nazis out to get them, which is perfect, because any movie that is going to make Nazis look stupid and foolish and have them be, as far as I can tell, the only characters to die in the multitude of car crashes. There's all these car crashes. It's cartoonish the degree to which these car crashes happen, but the only ones that it really does feel like it's being framed like, yeah, they died, is the Nazis. Good. The Nazis deserved it. I hate Illinois Nazis. Oh, and there's other madness like the fact that Carrie Fisher is trying to kill them. And for most of the movie, we don't know why. She's just sitting in a car one second, and then she pulls out a freaking bazooka and tries to blow them up. She blows up a building that they're in and hits a phone booth that they're in with a flamethrower. And the brothers live, obviously, but like we have no idea when she's doing this. She's just doing it. Oh. Most of the humor, at least the humor that still lands for me, derives from the chase aspects. So, like, the way Carrie Fisher keeps trying to kill them and fails. And honestly, a lot of the stuff where I laughed the hardest was the car chases and the car crashes. And it kind of started with the chase through the mall. And where I started losing it was that it's not just the Blues Brothers that are causing destruction. These cops can't drive for crap. And here's kind of what I love about these car chases and the destruction that happens. It doesn't feel or look like the kind of tightly controlled, carefully handled, sort of, very delicately arranged car stunt that you get in most movies. It looks like chaos. And knowing the director might well have been actual chaos, because as much as this is an awesome movie and so are some of his others, John Landis. Also his son too. Both of them. Off. But it does result in absolute joyous destruction. Watching these cop cars just smash through the mall, and then later watching them just careen into ditches and flip over each other, and it just looks like an absolute melee. It does not look like a coordinated set of vehicular stunts. It looks like destruction derby. And that just makes it all the funnier. Just how uncontrolled it looks. I hope it was more controlled than it looks. But again, given the director, you, Landis. If you don't know why, Google the guy. I'm not going into any of that. Anyways. So, that having gotten that off my chest. Now, I'll tell you what. This is a movie that drinks well. I feel like there's two kind of movies you can say that about. You can say that about the movies that you have to drink to get through them. This is not such a movie. This is not such a film. Or there are movies that drinking to them just feels right. That just feels correct. And this is one of those. And there's lots of funny little touches along the way. I mean, I highlighted the car chases. Those are the comedic highlights for me. But there's things like the fact that when they perform at the country western bar, and the stage is behind chicken wire, which is the initial setup. The punchline being that when they start playing, and they start playing rhythm and blues, and the crowd doesn't like it, they're throwing beer at them. But that's not actually the joke. I mean, the chicken wire is blocking the beer. Yeah, okay, so that feels like the payoff to the joke. The actual joke is the fact that they then start playing stuff the crowd likes. But that doesn't stop the crowd from throwing beers at them. They're still throwing beers and bottles at the band, even though they started playing music that they like. I think overall, especially for a movie from 1980, it holds up surprisingly well in terms of not a ton of like really badly dated or aged humor. That said, there's two things in it that I don't love. One's the restaurant scene. I'm not gonna go so far as to say like that it's offensive in and of itself, where Jake and Elwood are just trying to be as disruptive as possible, and Jake, you know, leans over to this guy in this, I don't even know what it's supposed to be, accent, being like, I want to buy your women. Like, I don't think it's particularly funny, but I'm not sure I call it offensive. What I will say is though is that scene goes on too long. I think the only part of it that actually made me laugh was realizing that one of the waiters, an unnamed character, was Paul Rubens. I think that got the biggest laugh out of me in that scene. The other thing is actually, as much as I kind of praised it earlier, is the payoff and the explanation on Carrie Fisher's character. I would say this is spoilers, but this isn't really a spoilers kind of movie. It just isn't. So, but we find out towards the end of the movie that the reason she's been trying to kill them is because she was stood up at the altar by Jake. Now, there's one element of this that I do really like, which is he kind of pleads for his life with her, and he takes off his sunglasses and looks her in the eyes. And that's the only time the audience ever sees his eyes without the sunglasses in front of them. Because every other time, if he hasn't had the sunglasses on, he was being shot from the back. So this is the only time his eyes are visible, and he's pleading, and she kind of like, oh, and like melts for him. That in and of itself is kind of fine. Well, I mean, not the fact that she melts for him, and that's where I'm getting at. There's something, and honestly, it didn't sit right with me even way back when I first saw this when I was like 13. There's something that is a little bit off about the woman scorned whose quest for revenge is stopped and her heart melts by getting puppy dog eyes from the guy she's trying to kill, and that guy then throws her down into the muck of a sewer immediately. It just feels kind of gross. It just feels kind of misogynistic. And I'm not going to say that the movie is misogynistic, but that moment feels that way. Especially because like it feels like they're expecting the audience to cheer for that outcome. And I'm not saying I wanted the Blues Brothers to get killed. I didn't. But you're putting me in a position where you seem to want me to cheer for a guy who clearly strung along and stood up a woman who cared about him deeply, and that guy then manipulates her emotions and immediately tosses her away once he gets what he wants. And I'm not comfortable rooting for that or laughing at it. But other than that, honestly, most of the rest of the humor is aged pretty solidly. Like I say, Nazis die, so hey! I like it. I actually kind of like the fact that, at least so far as I could tell, the Nazis were the only group that the Blues Brothers deliberately antagonized. They did not mean to piss off the cops. They may not have cared about the good old boys, but they didn't mean to piss them off. They deliberately pissed off the Nazis. Good on them. And there's just a lot of little tiny details that are fun and funny, like the fact that Jake, his favorite thing to eat is just dry toast. And like he goes to a pawn shop and there's toasters there, and he's got like a piece of bread in his pocket, and he's like, ooh, how does this bread work in this toaster? Would this be good? These little tiny ridiculous touches. The chemistry between Belushi and Aykroyd is spot on. They're so deadpan. Like I'd say 85% of what goes on in this movie, which is bonkers a lot of the time, they are completely unfazed by it. And I love that. And this was just a good time. A good time and a soundtrack that this soundtrack could take me out in the back alley behind a restaurant and bang me against the dumpster. It's that good. What the? the hell am I saying? It's true, though. It's true. And also, I'm not going to say I ever found John Belushi attractive, but you know what? Him cracking a whip during the Rawhide number? Yeah, that might have awoken something. Or reawakened. I'd like as if I wasn't already aware of that inside of myself. Anyway, I have to stop. I have to stop talking. This will get bad. You want to commission me to review stuff, even drunk? Hey, you could. Do you have fun with this? You could have fun having me drunkenly review other stuff. You can do it on my Patreon. You don't have to commission me to review stuff. There's other tiers of support. I am actually kind of running on autopilot talking about the ways you can support me. I do this too much, except I have to. It's my job, but it's really weird that it's so automatic at this point. In any case, drop your thoughts down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. I mentioned the Patreon already. Why am I pointing again? I'm not going to put the link up a second time. It's up. It's gone. Move on from it. Wrap it up. Don't worry about the stuff. The stuff helps. Like the commissions help a lot. And just the support of the Patreon helps. It helps. Helps. You want to help me out? It helps. Helps me get booze and do this. No big pressure, though. Clearly, we take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. None of this would have been possible without my supporters over on Patreon. In particular, I want to thank Robin Powell, Raven McBain, Tracy Scrabbit, Vincent Paul Bartolucci, Robin Moore, and Shayla Gourlay. If you'd like to hear me possibly mispronounce your name, maybe consider looking at the reward tiers over on the Patreon. But either way, don't worry about it too much. Take care of yourself. Oh, I was going to grab the sunglasses, but they're over there. They weren't where I thought they were. Ooh. I get the hat, though. This is probably a bad angle. I can't tell. I'm looking at the monitor on the camera, and it's all blurred.